There's nothing irregular about that as far as I can see. What he's also said, however, and I can make no sense of this, is that the judge has actually put charges of his own, which then actually does turn the judge into the prosecutor. The prosecutor makes the argument for the prosecution with a view to getting a guilty verdict. So in that sense, the judge puts a charge which he has decided on himself with a view to prosecuting, actually prosecuting, not just putting, but prosecuting, jumps out of his prosecutorial skin into the judge's box, and then what? Makes an impartial judgment and finds him not guilty? Of course not. The prosecutor prosecutes to a guilty verdict. So the judge can only then find guilty on the basis of his own prosecution of his own charges, which is farcical if that's the case, and I can't believe it is the case, because it's too farcical at this point. It reminds me exactly, for a moment of light relief here, it just puts me in mind of, I can just bring it up, a section from Iolanthe, Gilbert and Sullivan, written in I think 1860, a piss take of the House of Lords, which was then the top Supreme Court of the land, now superseded by the top appellate court in the land rather, which is now the Supreme Court. It was the House of Lords back then until quite recently. And this bloke, the Lord Chancellor, he's got a whole load of wards of court who he looks after and whose marriage he has to consent to. Unfortunately, he's now in love with his own ward of court, which has created a problem for him. And he says, what is his position? Can he give his own consent to his own marriage with his own ward? Can he marry his own ward without his own consent? And if he marries his own ward without his own consent, can he commit himself for contempt of his own court? And if he commit himself for contempt of his own court, can he appear by counsel before himself to move for arrest of his own judgment? This was a joke written 150 years ago. It's different people, different roles, different situation. But it's the same concept of topsy-turvy farcicalness. If the judge is going to present his own charges, the charges he's decided on himself with a view to prosecuting, jumping out of his prosecutor's wig into the judge's box and finding guilty. That's already decided. That is the farcical, if it's the case. And it can't be the case. There must be some miscommunication in there somewhere. Because otherwise it's ridiculous the way this whole thing is building up.